In 2023, the French Embassy in Uganda set out with a rigorous project of promoting agile methodologies and innovative training to enable decent, sustainable, and income-generating employability of Ugandan youth. The French Embassy partnered with a couple of organizations or initiatives in Uganda to make sure they achieve this particular vision over a time frame of 2 years. We're coming to the end of this particular program and project, and we want to look at or highlight some of the issues or some of the things or some of the achievements, successes, and of course, looking just down the road of how this project really went down. Who are some of the beneficiaries? What are some of the successes that we can look out for? And of course, what is the long term? Because most of these projects are funded over a specific period of time, but the impact continues over a long period of time. So this particular day, I have a couple of innovators, but before I even talk to them, my name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, a journalist right here in Kampala, Uganda, with the Media Challenge Initiative. We are doing this podcast at the MCI Media Hub right here in Kabalagala, that is Kampala, Uganda. So for this particular engagement, some of the key components of this particular project were: one, to support agile methodologies and innovative training for the creation of sustainable income-generating social enterprises in agroecology and agroforestry. That was one of the innovators. And of course, another component was creating innovative training methodologies and tools focused on the market demand of the tourism and hospitality sector. That's also another component of one of the project, one of the members or implementers of this particular project. Then third is the enable better employability and integration into the labor market of youths and women in Uganda by promoting links between universities and businesses. And some of the beneficiaries, as I told you, or partners of this particular project include Shona, who set out to do a project called Rootical. And of course, Rootical will engage 40 Ugandan talents to build and own their regenerative agri-food companies, to build a 6 purpose-driven enterprises designed to accelerate the transition to a more equitable, inclusive, and regenerative food system. That was Shona that did a project Rootical. They will be talking about that. Then also AFIRD. AFIRD is an agency for integrated rural development, and it has been promoting agroecology, sustainable agriculture, and permaculture projects in PG and Wakiso. This particular project, they set out to go to Mukono. They will be talking about that. And of course, we have EyeOpener Initiative, which is an international creative agency that helps organizations create social and sustainable impact. Last, definitely not least, is the StartHub Africa, which is a non-government organization, NGO, that has worked with 10 Ugandan universities and over 1,000 university students for the past 5 years. StartHub Africa establishes student-run hubs, and of course, they provide training for entrepreneurship and innovation. Allow me to welcome my panelists this particular morning. I have Elvis Omoit, who is from Shona. You're most welcome, sir. And of course, we have Chiza Okiza, Justin. It depends on where you come from. And of course, she is Advocacy and Lobbying Programs Manager at AFIRD. And I have Laika Kasule, who is running Ukarem Regional Cluster Support, that project, and she is the lead there. And of course, Mr. Daki, or you can call him Dachi, Joshua, depends still on where you come from, who is the Special Projects Manager for StartHub Africa. I'll start with you, Mr. Dachi. You have been part of this particular project over the last 2 years. Do you want to paint a picture for us, how it started, how the process was, and of course, everything to know about this particular project or partnership with the Embassy of France in Uganda?
Yeah, thank you, Edgar. So I want to run through an introduction. I work with StartHub Africa in the past 2 years. We've been working with a focus on employability and job creation. So we did an industry survey within the private sector before we started the project to identify the needs of the private sector, but also understand the needs of the interns that we've been working with, or you can also call them graduates. So it's been a job creation and matchmaking program where we try to match the needs of the private sector and also the needs of the graduates, so we can find a match and they work together. One of the challenges or problems that we identified at the beginning was that the graduates, they lack industry experience that enables them either to create a job or to start something innovative, but also at the same time on the side of the company or the private sector, they find that the graduates don't have the work experience. So when we were thinking through our theory of change to find ways of how we can solve this problem, we try to see what needs to be done to make to find a solution for the private sector and also a solution which is jobs for the graduates. So we created the matchmaking project where we bring them together, matching the skills. Of course, we go through the call for application where the graduates apply, and also we try to understand the areas where the company needs human resource. And then we facilitate them with soft skills training, so they would go through soft skills training for a couple of weeks. And then after that, we prepare them for transitioning into the companies.
Okay. Just who are them? Are you looking at specifically, for example, let's say journalists, let's say doctors? Do you have a target group, or it was just these students that really lack the skills generally?
So it's a challenge also we had to solve. As I said, matchmaking is to make sure everyone is comfortable. So one of the biggest phase of the project is that you have to understand the opportunities available within the private sector, because if you don't, and you just send the interns who are not a good fit, you find out that the matchmaking or the internship won't be meaningful either for the private sector, also for the graduates. So we've had to find a balance between the available opportunities and available applicants that we received. The goal was that it's not far away from what the private sector needs. We would give an example of sales. Sometimes some of the graduates, let's say they didn't start the marketing. We have concepts that we take them through in our pre-training before we send them to the companies. For example, the Japanese concept of the ikigai, to find a meaningful work experience through what you love. Yeah. So doing such training enables us to find the extra abilities of the interns, and we can send them where we feel like they can fit. Great
initiative. Let me bring in Chiza. Chiza, you're working in agroecology and agroforestry. For us who don't understand these terminologies, please break them down for us. What was the vision of this particular project?
Yes, thank you very much. As he has said, I'm Chiza Justin, and I work with AFIRD, which is Agents for Integrated Rural Development. We are blessed to have got a project from the French Embassy where we've been looking at promoting agroecology and agroforestry among the farming communities in Mpigi and Mukono district. With this project, it helped us as AFIRD to roll out to Mukono district, where we got to reach our new farming partners. We've been promoting agroecology. Agroecology is an approach to agriculture that promotes, that encourages using of sustainable farming practices as compared to the other kind of agriculture where people are using a number of artificial or synthetic or conventional agriculture. So here, agroecology puts its emphasis on how a farmer can use nature, can use environment safe to be able to gain food, to be able to gain all it takes from land, to sustain his livelihood, but as well promoting the safety of environment as well. So for agroforestry, it is also a practice under agroecology where we promote integration of trees in farming. So those are the two concepts that we've been promoting under this project.
Okay, take us through the activities as you are working with young people and women down on the ground themselves, conducting trainings. Please take us through that particular process and the activities that you took part in achieving this particular goal.
Yes, thank you very much. We set out to work directly with the 250 farmers under this project, and we first did consultative meetings right from the district leaders and the sub-county officials. As we are implementing, we work with the government officials. So from those consultative meetings from the district and sub-counties, we were directed to some places where we could get to reach youths and women who are engaging in farming, but they needed skills, they needed empowerment. So we reached out to different groups. We did identification, we verified the groups and recruited the groups that had shown potential to be worked with. So from the identification process, we went ahead to direct those identified groups to select for us their group-based facilitators, the people that we wanted to train to empower them with agroecology and agroforestry skills, to also go back to be ambassadors of agroecology within their groups and also within their communities. After there, we brought on board 20 group-based facilitators whom we trained through a 5-day workshop. From there, we empowered them. They got to know deeply about agroecology and its practices, and they went back and trained their fellow group members. As the project officer also did follow-ups. From those 5-day workshop, those people gained more understanding of the concepts. After the 5-day workshop, we conducted learning caravans to expose our group-based facilitators.
What do you mean by learning caravans?
Yes, okay. We conducted learning caravans where we visited a number of agroecological centers. And for this case, we visited farming homes that were engaging in agroecology, that were showcasing a number of agroecological practices, say like productive water harvesting, say use of biofertilizers and pesticides, say encouraging biodiversity on their farming homes. So we exposed our group-based facilitators to such places with an intention of inspiring them into adopting agroecology. So we visited a number of centers. Since under this project, we had an aim of establishing 10 agroecological centers. So we first had that chance of visiting already existing centers by our farmers, such that they buy in, they get inspired, they also get to understand. And also we tasked them to go and implement what they had learned from those learning caravan. After the learning caravan, our farmers went and implemented. From there, they were able to come to a stage of selecting enterprises. Since from those two activities, we felt we had empowered them, we had trained them enough with agroecological practices, which they were implementing. After there, we took them through a session of enterprise selection, where we wanted them to select a group enterprise to engage in to start generating income. And these farmer groups were able to select. Currently, there are 10 agroecological enterprises that are running.
Okay.
Still, when they selected their enterprises, we built their capacities depending on those selected enterprises. Right now, we have 2 farmer groups that are dealing in local poultry farming. And other groups are dealing in biofertilizer making as an enterprise. Others are dealing in tree nursery multiplication, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you to ask how you're tracking progress of these things. But let me come to you, Miss Kasule Laika. You have a project Ukarim, if that my Kiswahili, Ukarimu, yeah, which is a Swahili word for hospitality. Please elaborate more on this particular project and, of course, how EyeOpener has partnered with the French Embassy in Uganda.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ukarimu is a Swahili word meaning hospitality, and essentially it's 2 things, right? It's a skilling and capacity building program through which we aim to improve livelihoods of young people, especially women, through decent jobs in a resilient and sustainable tourism sector. But then it is also a database of resources or curricula that we use to basically implement our training activities, but then also make available to the sector or to the value chain to be able to improve the quality and standards of training capacities within the sector. So it is implemented by EyeOpener Initiative, which is an NGO, Dutch Ugandan NGO, and together with the FSPI project, or the funding that we received from the French Embassy, we implemented an employability training project that was specifically targeting the northeastern part of the country. So that is covering regions of Karamoja, Mbale, Sipi, Kapchora, and in between. Yeah.
Tell us about the process itself. How do you identify these people who are working in tourism and hospitality? Tell us how it was.
Yeah. So essentially, one of our well, we call them USPs, but an approach that we apply in everything that we do is to be private sector led. So our programs normally start with co-creations, where our recruitment will go 2 ways, right? We'll recruit trainees or participants for the training programs, but then we'll also recruit private sector partners. So that would be hotels, lodges, tour operators, tourism businesses, essentially, that can provide work-based learning opportunities, internship opportunities to our trainees, but also are essentially the throughput process for some of these participants. So we recruited the partners. We worked with a group of 20 hotels and lodges from Mbale and Karamoja. Through the partners, we did a co-creation to identify the needs and the gaps that they specifically wanted us to focus on, because the skills gap is so wide, but with limited time and limited capacity, we thought it best to prioritize the skills that the private sector felt they needed in order to improve their operations. Through that co-creation, we identified 6 topics that we would train staff in, and we also identified target groups ranging from housekeepers, front desk operations staff, but then also non-formal staff. So when you think of your gardeners and your askaris and things like that, and all of that is information that came through from the co-creation with the private sector partners. So they really play an important role in designing or shaping the structure of our programs, right? After the co-creation, we went back to the drawing board, did some curriculum development, recruited experts for those specific topics, and then also basically worked with the private sector partners to recommend their staff members, or to identify 2 or 3 of their staff members that they would feel would benefit from an improved skills, and therefore generate improved or better job outcomes for those staff members. So we tasked them to identify people, especially women, who they felt that if they polished their skills in particular ways highlighted in the co-creation, they would be better positioned maybe to be given raises or to be promoted into leadership positions and things like that.
Okay, let me come to you, Elvis, from Shona, an organization that has a short name. in Africa here, we're used to big names, Africa Center for this, to scare people, but this is just Shona. And you have a project called Rootical, which is a business builder. Please elaborate more on this particular project.
Yep, thanks very much, Edgar. I'm so excited to be on the podcast. Rootical is, you would call it a program under Shona, but Rootical is a regenerative startup studio, actually the first steward-owned regenerative startup studio in Uganda and on the continent. And we work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs to build and own their regenerative agri-food businesses. So we recruit purpose-driven entrepreneurs, Ugandan entrepreneurs, and we work with them through a process of building a business from zero, that is from scratch, pre-idea, pre-team, and these businesses are geared towards food system transformation. So our process starts with recruitment of 40 entrepreneurs. We work with a number of partners to look out for the creme de la creme, people that are purpose-driven, that want to build transformative businesses, not just small businesses. So after recruitment, we invite the 40 entrepreneurs for a 10 days boot camp where we focus on food system analysis to understand the challenges within the food system. So
I get you, but my question then would be, how do you know that this one has a greater potential for success? Because you're working with people who come from scratch. Do you say that maybe you have to have maybe a business? Is there an idea, a concept already down? How do you recognize potential?
So we look at potential in, you'd say, two ways. One, we look at building businesses that are commercially viable, scalable, and impactful. Yeah, so that big picture has to be there for someone to really fit into our cohort. Then secondly, we look at three categories of people. One, we look at builders. Are you able to build something? Yeah. Then the second profile we look at is sellers. Are you able to sell? Yeah. Then the third profile is stewards. Are you able to take care of the money and the businesses? Because we believe it's these three profiles that could actually make the best co-founding team for any business. These are the pivots for any business to really develop. So we look out for such profiles. Yeah.
Okay. It's seldom that you find such qualities with young people, especially in this part of the world.
Yeah.
So tell us about really the process itself. How did you implement this particular project to achieve the set goal that you had set as you're starting?
Yeah, I mean, just talking about young people. So we look out for high potential graduates. For example, let's say someone is just from university, but they have this idea of, let's say, building a business that focuses on producing organic fertilizers. You know, that is a profile of a person that we would be looking out for. But also we look out for other people that have experience, so that you have complementary founders. You can be able to pair someone that has experience with someone that doesn't. But from the process perspective, after recruitment, when we do a joint food system analysis with these entrepreneurs, we deepen our analysis into the food system for people to have a good understanding of the problem that they want to address. Because if you don't have that understanding, then it's very hard for you to build a viable solution that is actually going to address a pinpoint need for, let's say, a farmer in that case. So after the boot camp, where we are focusing on problems, we move on to the next stage, which is 3 months of focusing on solutions now, to build solutions to the problems that were identified during the boot camp. And we call that systemic venture building. where we leverage human-centered design and systems thinking to look at how do you build a solution while working with a farmer to deeply understand their needs, but also to make sure that what you're building is actually relevant and fits into their context. Because, I mean, we always build solutions out of, let's say, you've been inspired by something out there and then you want to start a business around that. Or you just wake up one day, you had a dream about something and then you want to build that. But we want to always build around a specific challenge because we believe that is the building block for any successful business that is going to serve a purpose in the long term.
Thank you. You're speaking a lot of good information here. Many people are just looking for money. You are saying to build to solve problems. Some people are building to just look for money. And I'm going to keep you on the spot, Elvis. We want to talk about some of the challenges you people experienced during this time, these 2 years implementing the project. I'm going to start with you. What are some of those challenges that you identified and how did you solve these particular challenges?
I think most importantly, this was a pilot cohort for us. So it was the first time we were doing this. So most of the things we were doing them for the first time. And of course, we always say trust the process because we had quite a good methodology for us to build from 0 to 1. So of course, if you're also working with entrepreneurs, everyone has their own unique needs. For example, you want to include, let's say, lactating mothers within the cohort. So you have to find a way of having an inclusive space for such people, no? But also most importantly is that we have a hustle mentality in Uganda and we want to do a whole lot of small things, for us to, let's say, generate an income. But from experience or from those that have built, it's really so hard to build a business that is commercially viable or that is built to scale when you're doing a lot of small things. You need to really focus on building one thing if you actually want to build it to scale. So that is one of the things that we had to really had a shift in mindset for the entrepreneurs, for them to actually understand that you can actually build something while having that laser focus on that thing. Then, some entrepreneurs already had other things going on, so some of them didn't continue with the program. Some of them, of course, went ahead to build on their own, which is still really good. And also, we would have wanted to have more entrepreneurs, but due to limitation of resources, you can't have all 40 businesses built. That's why even in our program design, we said we want to have at least 6 businesses invited into the studio. And currently, we are working with 4 businesses in the studio that are continuing to build with us and also building 2 businesses in-house, not from the cohort, but from the studio itself.
Great, thank you. Let me come to you, Joshua. What are some of those challenges that you encountered and how did you go about these particular challenges?
So we worked with the private sector closely, was a key stakeholder, and I think that comes with a lot of challenges. If you worked with private sector, changing needs, takes time to onboard them as well. You have to navigate hierarchies. We worked with 60 participants, graduates, in 2 cohorts. Cohort 1 had 30 and also 30 in the last cohort. When you look at the applications, we asked them, where do you want to work? It says Stanbic, maybe half of them. It says Stanbic, Safe Border, Jumia. And it's a challenge because you have to onboard Jumia or you have to onboard Safe Border, which we did. We worked with almost 40 private sector companies during the program. But the challenge I think I would highlight is that they really change their needs. Maybe those would be the small, the mediums companies. At the start of the engagement, they might say, I need 2 interns or I need 4. And then by the time you're ready to send them out, they say, now we need 2. So you have maybe 10 interns that have not yet found placement. So either we had to find more companies on board, which as well we did to make it work as well. Or sometimes by the time the placement starts, you're still navigating MOUs and agreements within the private sector. But nonetheless, we were able to make it work and to find all the placements for the 60 interns in the 2 cohorts. Maybe the last challenge I would also highlight would be the internship framework or time frame, not framework. The time frame we were working with, as you know, projects are designed for a certain period of time. And these are 2 people who have not worked together before. So you realize the first 2 weeks, an intern is still getting settled into the company. And by the time they start to pick up, maybe almost the cohort is coming to the end. A few challenges, but we also have too much success, I think, on our side. Despite all those hiccups, we're able to make it work, and we have some good, it's a percentage that have been employed through the program.
Wow, thank you so much, Joshua. I'll come to you, Ms. Chiza. Talk about some of the challenges that you encountered during your implementation of the project, and how did you go about them?
Thank you once again. Still during the project implementation, yes, we faced a number of challenges, but quite a few. Firstly, since we are implementing, we are promoting something which is a bit new, agroecology and agroforestry. People's mindset and attitude is still giving us a challenge. You could find people were hesitant on adopting agroecology. Some people are like, I think those things are not working. Yes, but we went over it by looking at establishing a number of agroecological centers. From these centers, people saw that, yes, when I put into practice, this can work out. This does this, and it brings in a benefit. So through establishment of those agroecological centers, we were able to at least bring on board, influence farmers to start adopting agroecological practices, since they have seen that things are working and they give better yields when you start to engage into it. The other challenge was on relocation of the group-based facilitators. Under this project, we employed that approach of having group-based facilitators, the ambassadors that we trained through a number of trainings, but we ended up having some relocating to other places. But with the time, we learned to appreciate it, since such agroecological ambassadors were going to some new places to still spread the knowledge about agroecology where they are. Though some were relocating to abroad. That was the unfortunate bit of it. But still, as how the project was designed, we are having 2 group-based facilitators per group. At least one could relocate and one remained in the group to take on the project activities. The other challenge was about access to markets. Yes, we trained our farmers. They were able to develop enterprises, able to produce, but still there is a challenge around market access. But still under the project, we are able to support them to participate in a number of exhibitions where we they were able to gain more knowledge on how to rebrand their products, on how to add more knowledge to at least develop their products to attract some good prices. Still, through those exhibitions, they were able to meet potential customers, but still there is a challenge around market access. More so, we were thinking of bringing them on board through training them on digital marketing, such solutions. The other thing, since our project has been mainly into agriculture, there has been those erratic climate changes, which could affect the established centers for agroecology, and also our farmers' fields have been affected. But since they are engaging into agroecological practices, say water harvesting to prepare them for harsh conditions, at least they have been able to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been experiencing harsh conditions recently, so those who took up your advice should be safe and sound. What were some of the challenges and how did you go about them?
Yeah, I think I can resonate with Justin's challenges as well as Elvis, especially with regards to working with young people, and of course things like staff turnover and the fact that you train them today and then tomorrow they're ready to go to Dubai for a job. But many of our challenges also revolved around, of course, the fact that there was more demand, especially from the private sector, for training opportunities than there was within our capacity, right? It also became a bit tricky when some of the results of the training, especially because some of the themes that we focus on as a program are environmental sustainability and ecotourism. Some of those things require active changes to be made at the hotels and the lodges, at the premises, at their places of work, and the decision making lies in the hands of the managers and sometimes even in the hands of the owners. And yet that is the decision making that contributes to the impact or the tangible outcome. So we faced a bit of challenges there with regards to managing the power dynamics within tourism businesses. And last but not least was also the fact that there was, of course, the scope, right? The scope of needs. If you can imagine, northeastern Uganda is a very big region, or to cluster it is a big region. So the difference between the private sector needs in Mbale versus those in Karamoja would actually also present technicalities to training structure and program development that would make it a bit difficult to align for all target groups. However, we worked with very closely intensified our partnerships, or leveraged the partnerships with the private sector partners to see how we can, for example, incentivize them or follow up on some of the training results for the trainees in meetings with the managers themselves, incentivize them through recognizing, for example, the opportunity that they give to young people to influence decision making, but also to take up responsible tourism practices. And we also tried to leverage cost-effective implementation methods to see that we can open up the training program for as many participants as possible. But that still remains challenging, because there is indeed more people that would require training in tourism and hospitality skills than there is those opportunities.
Wow, thank you. So in the building or house, we have some of the beneficiaries for these particular programs. So the people who participated in the projects they have been talking about, and they're going to be highlighting their experience for us. And of course, feel comfortable or feel free to speak in a language that you can articulate best. Osobola okwogera olulimi lwonna lw'owulira ng'oyagala kwogera kasita oba nga oluwuliramu emirembe. So I'll request some of the participants, you just tell us your name, the initiative that you are part of, and how it was already. So I'll start, I think, with Emmanuel.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Wemba Emmanuel. From Eden Seeds, the director, which is a farmer-owned seed brand. that was co-founded by Rootical. Yes, so I would say the experience was a great one. It was a learning one because before Rootical, I was one that was just passionate about regenerative agriculture, just as a practice and not as a business. So through the mentorship from Rootical, using the human-centered design, testing, piloting, and pivoting, here we come with Eden Seeds now, which is a business that is now established, working with existing community seed banks to produce the highest quality of indigenous seeds, which seed is now distributed through agro-import dealers. Maybe the question is, why Eden Seeds? Eden Seeds was created because of a problem that was very rampant with smallholder farmers, and that was inadequate access to quality, affordable, and resilient seed. So Eden Seeds was formed to come in and provide a solution that is going to support our farmers, the last mile farmer, to have access to quality, affordable, and resilient seed, because we know that we're facing climate change, and indigenous seeds are one of the solutions to such problems. So I'll tell you, it has been a great journey. It has been 2 years of transformation for me as a person, but also for an initiative like Eden Seeds.
How is it now as you're concluding?
Yeah,
how is it working?
as I conclude now, Eden Seeds, we have the capacity to have monthly sales of over 7 million. Yes. And we have onboarded over 27 producer farmers of indigenous seed. So I'll tell you, we're in the right direction. And maybe 5 years from now, we want to have the brand Eden Seeds as one of the leading producers and distributors of indigenous seeds in Uganda, because we want to shake the food system, and we are here for the right cause.
Thank you, thank you. The sky is not even the limit. Next beneficiary.
Balamusiza nnyo basawo ne bannyabo. Erinnya lyange nze Nakanabi Rebecca nga nviiridde Ndese. Mbadde nsaba onziiremu ku kibuuzo.
Ekibuuzo mbadde mbuuza enkolagana yo n'ekitongole mu bino bye boogeddeko kyali kitya, emirimu wafunamu otya mu byagenda mu maaso, oba mu training ze mwafuna oba mu project gye mwafuna, kiki kye wafunamu nga ggwe kyolowooza nti kino nkyenyumirizaamu?
Kantwala omukisa guno okusooka okwebaza Madamu Justin n'ekitongole kya AFIRD. Kituufu ekitongole ekyo kyatusanga ffe tuli bubi, twali byaffe nga tetulina kye tumanyi ku agroecology, nekitwala mu bbanguliro nekitubangula mu nnaku 5. Kati ne tuvaayo ne tudda ku ground ne tufominga group. Kati bwe tufominga group ne tusooka ne twebuuza naye ddala binaakola, kuba ffe twali tumanye eri buli obulimi buli. Ekituufu twavaayo ne tuyimirira ne tukola obulimi obwo n'obulunzi, naye butukoze bulungi nnyo era we tulaga tulabawo. Kati ffe twalinga tukalubirizibwa, kati obulimi buli bwalinga butukalubirira. Eddagala oluusi oyagala okuligula, akasente tokalina, kati wekanga sizoni ekuyiseeko anti nga tofuuyidde, nga kyobadde osuubira tokifunye mu bulungi. Naye kati twebaza ekibiina kya AFIRD ekyatukwatako, kati twekolera eddagala lyaffe. Kati ogenda okuteekateeka nti ngenda kusimba ebijanjalo, bayiika obeera olina eddagala lyo nga weeriri, ofuuyira mu budde emirundi gyonna gy'okola ki gy'oyagala. Kati n'okulima, kati ffe tulima n'enva greens, ekituufu kitukoze bulungi nnyo enva ezo zitukoze bulungi abantu bazaagalira ddala era abantu mu kitundu kyaffe baali bebuuza era kati babuuza ddala organic mukozesa ki kale baali tebamanyi nti ebintu gyebiri ebyo naye tusimbanye ekitongole ekyo nti kitukoze bulungi kati abantu bagenze bazibuka amaaso okuyita mu ffe.
Okay, ng'omaliriza ekibuuzo kye nnina mu myaka egiddako mu maaso tugambe 5 mu 10 weerabawa nga ggwe omulimi ki ekiddako? For the benefit of our English audience, I'm asking her for the next 5 to 10 years, what next for her particular project? Mama tubulire.
Kati myaka nga 5 obulimi bwaffe buno gye nnengera ndaba nga Uganda ejja kubanga irinako weetuuse kubanga kati ffe twatandika batono twatandika 25 naye kati abatuyayanira bangi kuba twali 25 naye kati tuweza 30 naye abantu bangi bajja nange munange kati tugezaako kukola abatuyita tubagamba nti mukole gurupu mutuyite tujje tubasomese ku bulimi buno n'obulunzi.
Tweyanziza. The next beneficiary. Hello.
Amanya Sebufu twahere.
Sebo.
Nkozi nsooka okwebaza okubeera omu kubaweereddwa omukisa okubeera mu pale eno. Amanya Sebufu twahere nga nviiridde mukono gurupu Naggalama Kiweebwa Youth Entrepreneurs era nja kwongera okwebaza bakama baffe abatukolamu omulimu ogutuyigiriza enkola eno oba ennima eno eya agroecology aba AFIRD wamu ne banywanyi baabwe ba French Embassy ekyamazima batukolera ddala omulimu omulungi. Twali balimi era batusanga mu kyalo eyo gye tuli tukola obulimi bwaffe naye nga tubukolera ku nkola eri ey'okubeera nti tulima naye tetumanya oba kye tulima ddala kinaaba kirungi gye tuli oba kirungi ddala n'eri obutonde bwaffe. So we baleeta enkola eno ne batunnyonnyola n'obulungi obugirimu twajaniriza era ne tugiteekinga mu nkola. So project eno gye bajja nayo eya agroecology for employment ekyamazima yali mpanvu era yalina programs nyingi. Batutwalanga mu misomo ne tusoma waliwo omusomo gwasooka ogw'ennaku 5 then batutwalanga ezo mu running visits okufunanga exposure kwabo already abadde bakola ebintu ebyo. Twafunirayo obukugu bw'amaanyi era kyatwaliriza nga ffe era abamu abafuna omukisa okubeera ba group based facilitator okudda ebintu ebyo tubiteeke mu nkola tusobole okulaga bannaffe ddala ebintu ebyo gye tubadde tubirabye nga bikola era ne wano bijja soboka okukolebwa era twateeka mu nkola ne tudesigninga learning centers naffe ewaffe ng'eri ze twalaba naffe tusobole okusomesa ate community tulabe nga knowledge eyo oba obukugu bwe tufunye mu agroecology enkola eyo yeeyongerayo. Tebakomaoko era mu skills ne experience gye twajja mu exposure visits n'emisomo ezo egy'enjawulo twasobola okudevelopingamu emirimu kuba project era kyeyali esaba titulina okuvaayo ne enterprise buli group at least era ffe kyali kya mukisa nti twalonda omulimu gw'okukola ebigimusa n'eddagala kuba mbagambye mu kusooka baatusanga tuli balimi. So kyatuwaliriza okubeera nga twenyigira mu mulimu ogwo tusobole okubeera nga at least tukendeeza ku nsaasaanya gye tubadde tuteeka mu bulimi bwaffe olwo amakungula geeyongere ate era kituyambeko okubeera nga tulima ekintu kye tugenda okulya nga tumanya obulungi bwakyo ate nga tekirina na bulabe na ku environment kuba obulabe bwali nga bungi luli okubeera nti tukozesa chemicals n'oba nga ddala weewaana nti nnimi enfunyemu akasente naye ate nga wonaalwala kansa ekyamazima sente z'ofunye tezijja sobola kukola ki kujjanjaba birwadde ebyo. So twayaniriza project eyo era mu bingi ebirala bye twafuna kugamba effe abamu twafuuka abasomesa mu bibiina gye twava era omulimu ogwo tetwagukomya kubeera awo. Naffe kati tugenda ne tusomesa batutwala ne tusomesa masomero tugenda ne tusomesa groups ku bitundu ebirala kwegamba ne tuba nga ate twongera okufunamu mu project yajjanga esaaga tufunamu akasente wadde n'omulimu gwaffe ate wali gukyaliwo nagwo tugufunamu sente ogw'ebijimusa n'eddagala era mu exhibition buli exhibition ebaawo tubeerayo Vestimani tubeerayo agriculture shedinja tubeerayo ebijimusa byaffe n'eddagala era tubitunda abantu babi appreciatinga era olwaleero wenjogerera ebijimusa byaffe n'eddagala bibenefitinga abalimi abawera 2,250 olwaleero era nga tusobola okufuna mu bizinesi yaffe eyo wakati w'emitwalo 4 buli mwezi naddala nga sizoni ya obulimi yankuba ng'eno kati etandise so kya mukisa nnyo era projekiti twajeyanza nnyo kuba tukolera eddala obulungi obutagamba
kale so tweyanziza era mwe mwesiimye mbalaba mwafuna n'obutisaati naye nga that's good. Congratulations. He talks about peer-to-peer mentorships and trainings that they are conducting and he elaborates a lot. Yes, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon. My name is Weke Megan Ashley, a beneficiary of Ukarimu. I work under Casa Uganda Safaris and Lodges. I would basically talk about the sustainability part that with Ukarimu has guided us and elaborated more on how to practice good tourism, sustainable practices in that most of the people have this thing of let me venture into tourism and make a profit, like as they aim at looking at what they are going to gain from it, but they don't look at what other people are going to gain from it. So when you come into sustainability, we aim at protecting this for the future people, not only for us. We aim that we benefit from it and also make sure that the future people are going to also benefit from it. So this would only be done by carrying out the sustainable practices. And for the training that I've had at under Ukarimu, I came to find out that at CASA it's practiced a lot in that it has created opportunities for the women. Like we have a saving group for women whereby they come and they carry out activities like the culinary tourism. The funds they get from clients who come for the culinary tourism, they take it back and it helps them in their families and to sustain their livelihoods. Then we also have the coffee experience. We still don't get people who have more knowledge, like who are more elaborated about it. We still go back to these communities and make sure that we pick people from the very communities who are unable to do it, and they guide the tourists, expose themselves and teach the tourists on how to use this coffee. And at the end of it, it helps them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Behind you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Benedette Ntongo. I work with StartHub Africa, and I was part of the Innovate for Employment program. So for me, the experience was really eye-opening. Right from the live reflection sessions we had to the practical bit that was more the skills training in design thinking, which is more like innovative problem solving around you, to project management and professional communication. So yes, it was really eye-opening for me.
Great. Thank you so much. Let me come back to our panelists, ladies and gentlemen. You're coming to the end of this conversation, but we cannot finish this conversation without talking about sustainability. Really, how are you tracking sustainability, and how do we ensure that these things do not just stop on the project itself? Oftentimes, You start a project, but after implementing the project, handing in the budgets and everything and the reports, then the project ends. But I think impact should be assessed continually. I'm going to start with you, Elvis. What do you think you're going to do to ensure that what you're doing today really continues, to thrive, but also to create impact and replicate?
Wow, thanks for putting me on the spot. It should have been Joshua first. But anyway, as far as sustainability is concerned, we are still tracking the 40 entrepreneurs that we had in our cohort. We did a post-bootcamp survey after 9 months. We are also going to do another one after 18 months to see where they are and what the impact of this project was. From the 9 months, some of them had gone ahead to build businesses on their own, still with the ideas they came out of the studio, out of the process with. Some of them got promotions in their places of work. Some of them transitioned from where they were working into organizations that are focused on food systems. So impact was already there, and we are keeping track of that. Then also, we're already running a second cohort. So we are not stopping at the first cohort, and we are not actually stopping yet. And also, most importantly, our success depends on how successful our businesses are. Because in the long run, it's the successful businesses that are going to finance the future cohorts. So that's why we are very intentional with the people we build with and the kind of businesses we build and at what scale, to make sure that in the future they're able to support other entrepreneurs to go through the same process like they did to build the same kind of businesses. Before
they actually support them, for example, because there's a statistic in this country that most startups don't even leave to celebrate their first birthday.
Yeah.
Is there any support you're giving them after the cohort itself? Yeah. How are they staying around the fire? What do they achieve really?
Yeah, thanks, Edgar. So we are continuously supporting the businesses that are within the studio, both in terms of capacity, because entrepreneurship can seem to be a lonely journey, but they have a backing of a full studio behind them to support them in the building. So we offer them, of course, studio services like branding of their companies, legal services, accounting services, to enable them focus on the core of building the business, the product, and selling it. But also, most importantly, we are also raising more money for the businesses to have additional investment into them to get on to the next stage. So we are actively working with them to make sure that they actually survive the first year. They reach their first birthday, which I think they have already.
That's good. That's good. That means they are thriving. If you pass that mark, there's a bit of success. Joshua, sustainability. How are you going about this particular issue?
So on our side, we can see the private sector appreciates more the internship. They're more open. I think one thing, they realize that internships are risk-free trials. So one of the challenge when we're doing our initial research was the private sector feels like the fresh graduates is a risk. You're not sure what you're going to get. So us co-creating the internship program with the private sector enabled them to understand that actually this can be a risk-free trial. They can always do. And if it's not a good match, there's no commitment. And also our interns understand that I can only be employed on merit because I can perform. So also they really improved during our pre-training before the internship. So also we can see that, for example, we did another co-creation out of the program with Sifao Motors that reached out to us to integrate their graduate trainee program into our Innovate for Employment program. So we also can see other companies like Sfau Motors reach out to us to hire as well. Sometimes they send emails to StartHub and they ask us if we have some graduates who are still looking out. But as well for us as StartHub, we also believe in the model. We trust the graduate trainees that we're working with. Bernadette is also a testimonial. She was part of the program. I think we've had about 4 also throughout our program, and we want to maintain as well. Even it's coming to an end. Literally, it has come to an end. We've run the 2 cohorts already. But also we look at it as a pipeline for human resource for us, quality human resource. I'm also happy to say, I would share that along the way, when we were implementing the program, UNICEF as well contacted us and we were able to do a pilot, which is now being discussed with the Ministry of Gender and Labour. We did a pilot for graduates out of school. Just sharing that to show that I think there's validation of the model, that this can work and also can be taken on by the government. Almost similar challenges that we faced still when we're trying to work on that pilot. Okay. And we still see maybe a lot of opportunities of co-creation within the private sector as well.
What's the success rate for the matchmaking? If you were to hypothetically give us like a percentage, how's the success for this partnership with this matchmaking?
Just to also to get more clarity, you mean
the interns that you've deployed?
Interns?
Yes. What is the success rate of saying this one has been officially retained by the company?
So we count retention with the contract. If it has no contract, we don't count. Okay. So out of the 60, 41 are formally employed. That's about 70% retention. Exactly. Yeah. Also, just to correct, it may not be the 60% where they intern, but at least they got a job. Okay. So we're also hands-on to support them working on their CVs, their personal branding, on LinkedIn, to either get retained where they are. So we'd have check-ins throughout the internship with the coach. So they had a coach they reach out to weekly to facilitate them to find opportunities either where they're interning or outside the program as well. So we have over 41, which is 70-point-something%, and it's still ongoing. I think almost every month someone can report that I've actually got a contract.
Super. Thank you so much. Let me come to you, Chiza. The future for AFIRD and really working with these farmers from the rural communities. In fact, you only did in PG and Mukono for this particular project, right?
Yeah.
So is there room for scalability to other areas? What is the vision?
Firstly, on the sustainability bit of it, right from the development of this program, there was a component that was designed under it. That was the approach of using group-based facilitators. We believe we've empowered the group-based facilitators with all the knowledge on agroecology and agroforestry. So they are now the custodians of agroecology knowledge within their communities. So they can always transfer the knowledge within the group and also within the community where they are. The other thing, still on the sustainability bit of it, still under this program, we established 10 nursery units where these farmer groups are able to multiply a number of seedlings to sustain their agroecological centers and as well to continue sharing seedlings for trees and also vegetables for different indigenous crops that they are interested in, depending on their group's needs. So they are always able to multiply and share among themselves to continue sustaining those centers and also to continue having their gardens busy. The other thing on their developed enterprises, as AFIRD, we always source for opportunities to always support our farmers with developed products to participate in exhibitions, in different exhibitions. Through that, we hope they will be able to develop and continue their enterprises through getting those chances of participating in a number of exhibitions. For the scalability, yes, we are looking towards expanding this project since it has yielded a good number of successes, right from the centers that have been established. They have really influenced a number of community members to adopt. So we are looking forward to scale, given the opportunities, given the available funding opportunities. We shall, I think, even start to roll out to other districts, still to take on the agroecology concept to some other new areas within Uganda. Yes.
Thank you so much. 67% of Ugandans are agriculturalists, so their harvest is plenty. The laborers are few. Let me come to you. Lastly, definitely not least, sustainability.
Yeah, I think for us, our sustainability is embedded in the open source nature of our program, of our curriculum, and of our resources, because it makes it possible for them to continue to be accessed for other trainers, other programs, and other initiatives that can basically apply the curricula in transferring skills across in the tourism sector. I think also we have a deliberate approach of working with regional coordinators that are selected based on their personal ambitions or motivations to either set up training institutions or have training facilities embedded in the region. So that really also enforces or allows for the fact that after we leave a region, we're able to guarantee that through our partner, who was the regional coordinator, the training or the training activities or the training programs will still be available. And then last but not least, we also really embed our sustainability in the private sector networks and in the clusters that we establish, and continue to engage through other projects or through other activities and create dialogue that basically fosters sharing within the networks and collaboration. With regards to scalability, I think we've implemented the program over a period of 5 years now, and we've managed to go to almost all the regions in the country, but there's more partners, there's more hotels, there's more lodges, there's more tourism businesses, but there's also more young people that could really do with these skills. So we continue to seek out these opportunities to write proposals and to develop concepts that can tackle the challenge across the country, but then even across the region. And we look at extending beyond Uganda to even go into Kenya and Tanzania at some point in the future.
Wow, I can't wait to see that. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies, for joining me for this particular conversation. Special gratitude and shout outs to our partners, that is the French Embassy in Uganda, and of course our local partners, StartHub AFIRD, which is the Integrated Rural Development Agency for Integrated Rural Development, Shona, and of course the EyeOpener initiative that is doing Ukarimu. And of course, you who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Edgar Matthew Karohanga. We are podcasting from the MCI Media Hub right here in Kampala, Uganda. Enjoy the rest of your day.